What's the meaning of life?
Okay, so what's the meaning of life is your question. Did you think of a question?
Yes, what is the meaning of life?
What we're going to look at is how we can redefine life through the Bhagavad-gita.
Does that answer your question?
That's mad. That's mad.
Both of your questions,
Both
huh?
of them, literally, like, yeah, I'm good.
Interesting. I've learned something as well. Thank you.
Wow.
You connect with love and the spiritual love. You ultimately re-enter life and understand that actually life is about service.
We're here to ask people questions about the Bhagavad-gita. They say if you ask the Bhagavad-gita any question, it answers your question. So we're going to put that to the test. We're here at the Om Yoga show where there's a lot of spiritual seekers, many people looking at different ideas on spirituality and different concepts around yoga. But what is real yoga? Yoga stems from the Bhagavad-gita, and we want to see how different people connect with the Bhagavad-gita, and we're going to put the book to the test. So come with me and let's go and ask a question to the Bhagavad-gita. Anything that's on your mind right now or anything you're thinking of?
What's the meaning of life?
Okay, so what's the meaning of life is your question?
A
Okay.
universal form, thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, coach and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form.
Amazing. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms that are those like Rama, Narasimha, Narayana, etc. These are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayana, a spiritual form, but the verse establishes without any doubt the statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all of the features originate from him. In all of these forms, he is the fresh young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contaminations of the material world.
That's interesting.
Does that answer your question?
To me, what it suggests is that the purpose would be to be closer to God, but God is in all of us, in every form, basically. So being good to each other and being kind to each other is actually respecting Krishna.
Yeah. So great. Krishna is saying basically saying there's many different forms, right? But he's actually getting to the essence of it, which is okay, Arjuna's seen the universal form, and yes, everybody is around. But if you have a relationship with Krishna himself, then basically that is the meaning of life. That is the meaning of escaping this material reality, is when you have that meaning. You know, Krishna as a blue boy holding a flute, that's his eternal form. There's all these other forms, and everybody can be seen as God maybe, but Krishna is the original Supreme Personality. So when you see that, that is the essence and meaning of life.
Interesting. I've learned something as well. Thank you.
Wow.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
You see, this is the ocean, and when I was a kid, I used to visit the ocean, or when I used to go on holiday. And something amazing I would realize is, when I'd look at the ocean, I'd realize how small I am, and how small my problems are. And I would just realize, actually, compared to the vastness of this world, compared to the vastness of the ocean, I felt really small. Not personally, but my problems felt small. And it gave it perspective. Did anybody have that feeling when they went to the ocean? Maybe some of you. This is the same analogy you can use for wisdom, for Vedic knowledge. When you look at the knowledge and you take in that knowledge, you realize how small your problems can become, and you see things from a different perspective.
We're going to put the book to the test. So they say if you ask it any question, it answers your question.
Okay.
Did you think of a question?
Yes, what is the meaning of life?
Okay. So what does this book give you for the meaning of life? Okay. Open to any page. Yep.
Okay,
Let's read
which
that.
bit? This bit
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
in bold, or this bit?
Yeah, read it in bold first and see.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is the renounced order of life, and he who is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty."
Maybe just read a bit of the
Yeah.
verses.
In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of the Eightfold Yoga system is a means of control of the mind and the senses. However, this is very difficult for people in general to perform.
Right, okay. So it's talking about like the different yoga systems are hard to perform, but actually it's saying if we can perform action that's spiritual action, especially in the age of Kali Yuga, although there's Eightfold Yoga recommended, in this chapter the Lord emphasizes the process of karma yoga or acting in Krishna consciousness. So basically it's saying the idea is to not be self-centered and have sense, like you're not trying to do things for yourself. If you start doing that, like I'm trying to enjoy this, I'm trying to enjoy that, I'm taking this, actually it's about giving up the results of what you're doing and doing it as service. That's what that verse is telling you. How do you link to that or understand that?
I mean, yeah, I feel like that tends to be quite a fundamental message that is present in most major world religions. The idea of not acting in self-interest, doing things for other people, cultivating your own sense of virtue. It's very Aristotelian as well, like trying to find the golden mean and doing things that are going to like benefit other people and help other people. So, I mean, that just like from a general theological standpoint makes sense to me.
Life is about service. Okay? You're ultimately serving in whatever you're doing. You're either serving as a mother, you're serving in your job, you're serving maybe your dog, right? You're serving your children. Ultimately, life is about service. And when we understand that, and when we put that in perspective, actually, life isn't about my sense gratification, but it's about how I can give back to others. And actually, when we give back to others, we also feel better about ourselves. We also feel good, right? So ultimately, that's what it boils down to. How can we cultivate our life in giving back?
Have you heard of the Bhagavad-gita before?
I haven't, no.
It's your first sort of interaction with this?
Yeah.
So apparently they say if you ask the book any question, it answers your question about life.
Okay.
So we're putting it to the test. Okay. So what question do you have on your mind right now, or in your heart, or whatever?
It's going to be, am I on the right path?
Okay.
The next step that I'm taking, I'm about to move into a house. So is that the right path for me? It's a big move.
What is it about the house like? Maybe you tell us more.
It's right around the corner to my mum, so I'm sure that location-wise it's good, but I'm just hoping it's going to be a place where I can sort of lay my seed and settle and start new and big new chapter.
Okay, so you basically want to ask like, what is the next chapter for you?
Yes.
And maybe some direction.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, so what direction should your life go in?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because the house is a part of it, but you want to kind of bigger picture of...
Yeah, I suppose as well. Okay, then another question would be then is my career choice, is that the one that's actually aligning with me for the future? Is this career that I'm doing, is it for the long haul? That's a more specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, open the book to any page. Okay, what did you see first? This?
Yeah.
Okay.
If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it.
Wow, that's a beautiful verse. Yeah, do you want to read a little bit?
Okay, so for the intelligent person, it is essential to be in the Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord in order to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness. Okay, that's mad. Okay, the process of achieving such a marvellous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. Okay, wow.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. That's mad. That's mad.
Both of your questions,
Both
huh?
of them, literally, like, yeah, I'm good. I think it's just giving me a little bit of like, I know that my house is going to be, it's going to be a tough thing to move out of home and move into my own house, but like it says, even by the poorest of poor without any kind of qualification, you can smash it. So it's just got to have that belief in the Lord and make sure that He's protecting me, and yeah, it's just that higher power. Yeah.
It's literally giving you the answer there, right? Like your abode is like, and if you can make your abode spiritual, you know, so like you're moving into a house, but you need to make it a spiritual house. And in the same time, it's saying it's not about the money, right? It's not about your management or whatever. Actually, it's about how much love can you give? How much service can you give, right? Like you're working all this time, but is it actually, like, are you doing it with the idea of I'm working very hard for lots of money, or am I doing it
for the people? I definitely do it for the people, but it does have a knock-on effect to the social life and anything else. So you can't pour from an empty cup, can you?
exactly?
When
Right?
you keep pouring in, I'm slowly getting more and more tired. But it's all right. It's all right. Oh, amazing.
And that's one of the most beautiful verses also that you picked.
Yeah, I love that. I've just lost it now. I'm not going to find it again now.
There it is. Yeah.
Page 505. Okay, cool. Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
This is what I would just share in a nutshell. What is the Bhagavad-gita? On one level, it's a theological book, so you can compare it with some of the books out there, like the Quran, the Torah, the Bible. And on another level, it's a spiritual book. So many spiritual concepts that you see here today at the Om Yoga show, or that you've heard of, resonate and originate from the Bhagavad-gita. It's also a philosophical book. So once I was giving one of these talks, and I had a philosophy student come up to me and say, wow, I love the Bhagavad-gita, I use it for my theses, it's got so many amazing points and philosophical points. But not only that, it's also an inspirational book. Mahatma Gandhi said every time he faced doubts and despair, he would actually open a page of the Bhagavad-gita and get inspiration. But above all of these things, yes, you can say it's a theological book, it's a spiritual book, it's inspirational. But above all of these things, the best way to describe this book is a life companion. So if you connect with it, it can become something that sits with you for lifetimes to come.
And how long have you been spiritual? Like, when did your journey start?
Oh, wow. Probably 2.5 years ago was when I started, becoming more spiritual about life.
What made you become spiritual? What?
My son died, so I had to look at life again.
I'm sorry to hear about your son.
Thank you.
So you've started this journey, you've been through a lot. What question do you have for the Bhagavad-gita?
I want to know if I'm going to see my son again.
Okay, if you don't know if you'll see your son again. Okay, it's a very deep question. Okay, so open the book to any page and see what it answers.
Okay.
So, do you want to just read that verse?
The divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrender unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Do you want to read a little bit of this purport as well? See what it says.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures being
Emanations.
emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called
Nityabandha. Yeah.
or eternal
Eternally
conditioned.
Yeah.
More?
No one. Yeah. Just a little bit more. Yeah.
No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though material nature is inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome.
Yeah. So basically, it's saying the Vedas confirm the following: Maya is illusion, supreme magical, the supreme person of Godhead, who is Maheshwara. Another meaning is guna, the rope. So it's basically giving the idea. So it's basically talking about what happens is that in the material world we have a bondage, and the soul becomes bonded to the material. But eternally we're spiritual, and that's our eternal nature. So eternal nature is to be the soul. So ultimately, our goal is to attain our eternal spiritual nature. And when we attain our eternal spiritual nature, we reconnect and meet other people, and we can kind of back to our original self. Because the soul is eternal, like it's explaining. There wasn't a time where it never existed, and there will never be a time where it ceases to be. So it'll always be there. So when we can get out of this material nature, then we can sort of connect with the divine and eventually connect with people. And it's described like when we keep connecting with the material nature, it's like rivers that have like sticks in rivers that come together sometimes and then they disperse, and some come together sometimes and disperse. But ultimately, when we pass that material river, then we can enter a spiritual ocean. So does that answer your question in there?
As long as I see him again, that's good. That's important
Yeah. So,
in order for me to cope.
yeah. So I guess if you can focus on being spiritual,
Yeah.
then you're moving in the right direction for getting out of this and then connecting with him. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So here's an analogy of a graph. Life, your plans, and the universe's plans. How many of you would say your life was like the number 1? Okay, how many of you say your life is like number 2? Okay, pretty much everyone, right? We have different things that happen to us. We had COVID. We had, loss of a job, loss of a loved one. We had also ups. Maybe you got that promotion. Maybe you got that nice house. Whatever it was, life's up and down, right? Can anyone tell me what this is? Heart rate, echocardiogram. Yeah. Now, what happens when this goes flat? You're dead, right? So is it actually a bad thing that our life is up and down? Right? Is it actually a bad thing that our life isn't like the first one? Right? Because what happens when it is like that? It means you're finished. Yeah, it means you're finished. So it's interesting actually, because these are all turning points in our life, right? And this is what it means to be alive. When you have these turning points, when you have these obstacles, it actually means you're living. And here's some of the things that we might end up going through. They actually did a survey on what are the 5 top things that people go through, life-changing events. And you can summarize it in these things. Fortunes, and tell me if you resonate with it, or think about if you resonate with it. Decisions, right? We have so many big decisions in life, right? Relationships, right? Anybody had a relationship that went wrong? Okay, pretty much everyone. Right? Death of a loved one. Not only death, but fear of death. Sometimes we're scared of losing loved ones, right? Isn't it? Like, so you have that fear of death always. And doubt. Doubting things, doubting life, doubting who we are, doubting our decisions. So where we get our inspiration from is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And when he visited Michigan University, he actually commented, they showed him all the university and said, oh wow, this is amazing. We have this department, we have this department. But then he questioned, where is the department for spiritual knowledge? Where is the department for learning about life? Where is the department to face life's challenges? Right? So we don't learn this knowledge in school. So therefore we have to try and find it, or we have to try and deal with it ourselves, right? You see this lady here, I gave you that example of the ocean, okay? Now just like the ocean, you could either dip your toes into the sand and connect with the water, or you could swim on the surface of the ocean and you might see some things down below, or you can go deep in the ocean, right to the bottom. And what do you get at the bottom of the ocean? What's the precious thing you get at the bottom of the ocean? Huh? Life, fish, pearls, right? This is what we call the pearls of wisdom, right? So if you want to get the pearls of wisdom, what do you have to do? You have to dive deep. You have to dive deep to get that pearl. But once you do that, you'll experience that pearls of wisdom and inner fulfillment. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we get to see you soon and connect with you more.